audience to kindly rise as the dignitaries are taking their desk. I request the audience to kindly take their seats. I repeat again, audience is requested to kindly switch off their mobile phones and maintain silence. Education, as we all know, is not just confined to textbooks and certificates. It is a journey that transcends the boundaries of educational learning, inviting us to embrace diverse perspectives and glean wisdom from every phase of life. A very delightful good morning to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ronit Ranjan, Dr. Father Benny Thomas, Dr. Father Biju Casey, Father Vinod Michael, Dr. Joby Thomas, in absentia, Dr. Raghunandan Ji, all present faculty members, and my dear Christites. A very delightful morning to each and everyone gathered here. Christ University takes immense joy in presenting the latest edition of DAKSH, our annual flagship event, offering a fresh and exciting experience to all in attendance. DAKSH, hosted by Student Council of Christ deemed to be university, isn't just an event. It's a gateway to a world of educational possibilities. This fair is designed to provide a comprehensive platform offering insights into education and career guidance. In DAKSH, critical guidance meets exclusive prospects, empowering each one of us to make informed decisions about our academic and future careers. To signify our appreciation to Mr. Ranjan's presence, we would like to present a small token of gratitude to him. Our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ronit Ranjan, is a life coach and leadership trainer, 3 times TED Talk speaker, ex-Indian Army cadet and author of The Mighty Mustang, and also the youngest person to walk solo from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. Mr. Ronit's work revolves around self-improvement, mental health awareness, dating, men's well-being and education, poetry, and personal development. He is passionate about inspiring people to challenge themselves and achieve breakthroughs in their personal and professional lives. He aims to create a life balance that prioritizes well-being and celebrates all aspects of one's true self. It's an absolute honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ronit Ranjan, whose immense knowledge and experience are poised to enlighten and inspire us all. Let us extend a warm welcome as he takes the stage, sharing his expertise and contributing to the success to this exceptional event. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Oh, this is my favorite part of the talk. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Next 60 minutes, I'll do this. Good morning. How are we doing? Are you all getting attendance for this? Okay. I'm an ex-Christite as well. I never reached 85, so I feel all of you. I was from the 2017 to 2020 batch, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invite. It feels good to come back to Christ and talk after you've done so many pangas with them. So it feels lovely to be here. I feel a lot of things right now, and Adya was my representative. She came to pick me up this morning, and we had a 1-hour gossip session about Christ, mostly good. And so I was just preparing for my talk, and she used a lot of adjectives. I think throughout the talk, forget all these tags that you just saw. Consider me as an ex-Christite who's figuring his life out, and he just wants to share a few things with you that might or might not help, but it'll give you some perspective. Cool? Fair? All right. So whenever I sit in the audience and a speaker comes to give some knowledge, the question I ask myself is, why should I listen to this guy? Right? So I'm sure a lot of people would have been thinking the same. Why should I listen to this random guy? Right? There are no reasons why you should listen. Partly because you have to listen to it for the next 60 minutes or so, because your university has invited me. Partly because a lot of things that I've been privileged to experience in my life have taught me a few things that I have been told by people that help others as well. So out of the 100 things I might say, even if one thing sticks with you, that's the purpose. My purpose is my job is done, and that's what you take away from the talk. Throughout the talk, try to be very open. I'll say a lot of things, and all of it comes from a space of love and gratitude, even if I sound a little harsh sometimes, but it's coming for you, from me, and even for me. A lot of things that I'll say is also something that I keep reminding myself as well. This is the theme of the talk. Katkhali 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll tell you the meaning of it. It's also a tattoo that I have on my hand. Usually I name my talks after the whole lingo that I've learned in the army. Small background, this was never part of the plan. I wanted to be in the army. I'm an ex-NDA, 135th batch. And life was quite sorted back then. I remember, so anyone who has idea or who have family members or have a army background, can you just show me your hand so I would know how much lingo to use? All right, cool. Very less. So I joined the army in 2015 after 12th year of two entries, NDA and TS. So I joined the NDA in 2015, Mike Squadron, and my life was quite sorted. I was a very ambitious guy. Getting in the army was not enough, so I wanted to be a major general, lieutenant general, maybe a general someday. And army is all about merit. So my life revolved around merit. And I was doing a lot of things in the army, and life was sorted. So the routine was 6 months, you get rogered, you do training. 21 days, you go home, you eat a lot of food, you sleep, you put medicine on all your wounds, and then go back to the next semester, and then you do it all over again. When I was in the army, I was somebody who believed in the blueprint of life. I had planned everything because I love planning. So I had planned when I'm going to take my parents on a vacation abroad, when I'm going to marry my sister, when I'm going to start dating someone, when I'm going to buy my first bike, Royal Enfield. But then, so the seventh pay commission came in, and then we were like, remove Royal Enfield, we're going to get a Harley. So life was pretty sorted, and things were going well. But something happened in 2017. We were doing a military exercise, and I fell from around 25 feet on my back, and I was paralyzed on my hip, and I have a permanent spine deformity. Ideally, I'm supposed to wear a lumbar belt, but I feel very old when I'm going for a talk, so I don't wear it. And then they declared me medically unfit in 27. So my career in the army ended in 2017. And that's wherein I got introduced to what mental health is. Because I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD. My PTSD still relapses from time to time. And that's how I got introduced to how much of a need there is for people to come and talk about certain topics from a very experience-based narrative and not what you study in your textbook or the kind of content you consume on social media. So the reason why you should listen to me is I might just relate with some of you. I see how all of you giggled and related to a certain term I used. Don't worry, I've gotten the safety clearance for all of it. And but yeah, a lot of conversations will not be rocket science, will be something that all of you currently experience. And so just try to be open to all the narratives. The way that I've planned this talk is I want to cover 5 major points because I have around 30 to 40 minutes. Otherwise, this will keep going on. And I want to touch upon different principles that I've learned over the past 6, 7 years of being in this field and working with thousands of people across the country. I came to Bangalore yesterday, and I've been flat hunting for the past 3 months. For some of you, you know how much of a pain that is in Bangalore. For the past 9 months, I've been backpacking. So it's me and I call it my partner, Lala, which is a green color rucksack. So it's me and Lala against the world for the past 9 months. But I realized that a lot of it, like it's taking a toll on my back. So I decided to move back to Bangalore. Came here yesterday, came for the talk today. So I'm also figuring out a lot of things in my life. And in my journey, I've realized there are a few principles that have helped me, which might just help you. Can you have the next slide to just give a reference of... Yeah, that was me. Sometimes I like introducing. I was very young. I look very young in that because I was. That's me getting an award from the Air Marshal. So life was pretty sorted. I think I was supposed to give this slide before I was talking. But I'm going to go one by one into different principles that I've learned and try to stay with it. For the next 30 minutes or so, all the biases you have, all the questions you might have, keep it to yourself. We will have a Q&A session at the end. And just be honest to yourself while you're listening to me talk. Cool? The way I like beginning with the points is I want all of you to be aware. So we're going to do a quick exercise. I want all of you to take a deep breath. Now I want you to see 5 things around you. Now I want you to touch 4 things around you. Now I want you to hear 3 things around you. Hear 3 things. Now I want you to smell 2 things. Guys who have not showered today, good exercise. And I want you to taste 1 thing. Cool. All right. You're back to your senses. So we're going to go one by one. Can we have the next slide? Cool. First, sounds very basic, but I love to give a demonstration. First principle is learn how to talk. Learn how to talk, A, to yourself, learn how to talk to others as well. And I'd love to give a demonstration. Do you all give me a yes or no if you believe that what we say has a direct impact in our body? Yes or no? But should someone prove it to me? Like, give me an example. Yes. Your call. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. Thank you for sharing. Your name again? Khushi. Thank you, Khushi. There's a whole point behind affirmations. Who all here do affirmations? Okay, lovely. I need one volunteer just to do a quick demonstration. Can somebody come here? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, Christites, volunteer. Yes, thank you. Can you hear me now? All right. So the task is I will push this hand down. You have to resist it. All right. So let's try that first. Stay, resist. All right. Once more. Resist. Okay. Now say my name is Raghav and keep resisting. Okay. Lovely. Keep it straight. Resist. Say my name is Rashmi. Say it. Say. Okay, go again. My name is Rashmi. Cool. Now say my name is Divya. No, say Divya. Okay. Say I'm a man. Say it. All right. Say I'm a cute little princess. And keep resisting. Go on. Go on. Say loud. Lovely. Do it again. I'm a hot, cute little princess. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give it a hand for Raghav. Cool. Did we notice something? Can you keep this? Did we notice something? What did we notice? Silence. What did we notice? Raghav, did you notice anything? Okay. Yeah, I think you sort of embraced the whole cute little princess thing. It's okay. Stay there. So, if you notice when I was pushing him, when he said my name is Raghav or when he said I'm a man, I needed to apply more force. But the moment I switched it, I started playing around with it, that I'm a cute little princess or I'm Divya or whatever. The moment I lied, it was easier for me to push. That's how powerful the way you talk to yourself is, right? That's the whole principle behind affirmations and all these coaches and therapists keep talking about, say positive things and do all that stuff. What you say has a direct impact on your nervous system. I would have explained the science behind it, but we don't have time for that. So check the kind of words you use for yourself. How many of you use the words like, oh, today I couldn't eat properly, I'm so stressed. Oh, I have so much OCD, I didn't comb my hair properly. Or, this professor said something to me, मेरी तो anxiety बाहर हो रही है. How many of you have seen people like that or are the ones who use certain terms? You have no idea the kind of direct impact it does on your nervous system. There's this saying that you tell a lie 1,000 times, it becomes your truth, because the concept is called neuroplasticity. So whatever you keep repeating, that's the neural pathway that gets formed. So be very particular about the kind of words you use. And the reason why we don't know, we don't use the words is because we don't know the words, right? So start building your vocabulary, your emotional vocabulary. Go to internet and write down this thing called emotional wheel, and it'll have a list of at least 200 to 300 emotions, which you would never know that this existed, and start placing those words instead of the random words that you keep using, the random negative words. That's first, how to talk to yourself. Second, because DAKSH is all about career guidance and building your personality. So my talk will be revolving around career and personality and all of it, because it's all connected. Second is the way you talk to others. You have to learn how to present. In a very business terms, you need to know how to sell yourself. In the present market right now, because I'm an entrepreneur, Abhi, and it's not the most talented or the one with the best marks who gets a job or who cracks a gig or who gets a shot at speaking. It's the one who's able to sell themselves. You will find the most on paper incompetent people doing the most crazy, amazing things in life. And then people with 95%, 99% attendance and academics and all of that who do not know how to build their personality will end up be like, oh no, but he didn't deserve it or she didn't deserve it. I mean, it's all about the work you put in the market. What you're doing here in university and within yourself is the base that you're building right now. But the world is very different. And you are privileged to be in an institution which allows a lot of growth that way, which exposes you to a lot of things. A lot of my initial contacts and speaking gigs and workshops were through random professors I met. And so let's say today I was a guest speaker, and I'll have a good conversation with Dr. Anu. And I'm like, oh, can you introduce me to that guy? And then she'll introduce me to that. And then I'm like, hey, do you have any speaking gigs, or what do you do, and all of that. In Christ, half of the time, and this is not what I encourage, so do not quote me on this, half the times I used to bunk my lecture and go in different departments and attend guest lectures. Because I was like, oh, there's so many people. Christ brings good people, right? So just whenever you get an opportunity, just go sit in a lecture. I have sat on lectures about IT and coding. I know nothing about it. But the very fact that this guy is able to hold a stage and talk about codes for 90 minutes and everybody's paying attention to him, that's what I wanted to learn. So expose yourself to the different opportunities you do. That's how you will learn how to talk. You've heard of the term elevator pitch? Yes, no? Build, if there's one task you can do by the end of the talk, please build an elevator pitch for yourself. There was a story that, so I love going to the mountains a lot. And 2 days ago, I was in the mountains. I was in Nainital. That's how I spent my New Year. Loved it. And I met a guy there. And so, you know, when people introduce themselves, so if I say, hi, I'm Ronit, people go like, oh, you know, I'm an MBA student, or I'm a professor, or I'm, you know, IT guy, software developer, this, that, and all that. And so I was talking to somebody, and I overheard this guy talking. This other person asked this guy, hey, what do you do? And he says, yaar, main to khush rehta hu jeevan mein. And I was in the middle of a conversation. I go like, wait, what? What did he say, right? Because I was hijacked, because I had never heard such a simple but such a brilliant answer ever. Because then it made sense to me. He didn't ask, like, what do I do in terms of my career? He just said, what do you do? And this goes like, yaar, main to khush rehta hu. I'm like, that's the sort of identity we need to take over. Somewhere we've forgotten that we are so much more than the profession or the relationship or the environment or anything that we are, right? So really ask yourself this question, ki karte kya aap jeevan mein, right? So learning how to talk, learning how to pitch yourself is what's gonna get you good gigs and good jobs and good opportunities and good people around. It's all about the energy. You play at a higher energy, you're gonna eliminate a lot of low energy people, and you're gonna attract a lot of high energy people. Have some of you noticed, who all here from masters, PG students here? So this question directed to you. Have you noticed that suddenly by the time you reach PG, you're not able to relate with a lot of these UG people and a lot of your classmates? And you feel like, in a very Christ term, I'm like, bro, I don't relate with this bro, da. Right? Have you ever felt or experienced or seen people like that? Because the moment you start working on yourself, you're going to eliminate a lot of people, including your friends around you. And that's a good thing. There's this metaphor that I came across. It says that a lot of friends in your life are like rocket boosters. And their job is to push you and propel you out of the stratosphere. And after the escape velocity, after that is done, is exhausted. And then now you have to drop these rocket boosters. Otherwise, it's just dead weight pulling you down. So start identifying the purpose of people, things, ideas, beliefs, environment around you. Time does not equal success. You can have a friendship for 10 years, but that doesn't mean you owe the next 10 years. Sometimes you make the best of friends in a 5-minute conversation. Sometimes you lose friendships in like after like 15 years of investing in each other. Understand the purpose of things and people, because that's how you'll remove a lot of negative energy from your life, and to be able to actually build your elevator pitch and to be able to present yourself and figure out who you are and what you represent. So that's first point. Can we have the next slide? Cool. Does anyone know what is vitamin N? Anyone? Nope. It's called vitamin no. Learning how to say no. Who all think here they're amazing at saying no? Oh, aware audience we have. Who all think that they have issues with saying no? Thank you for the honesty. Especially in, so you're in Christ, you're in Bangalore. You will have 100 different distractions, right? I remember first year of college, so I'd just come out of the army, right? And so I didn't know the civilian setup because we didn't have phones and all. Second, there were no women around. So first year I come to college and I call my mom. I'm like, oh, there's such pretty lovely ladies here. And have you been to Kormangla? Kormangla, do you know Indigo Club? Every Wednesday night there's a ladies' night that happens there. So all the Christ set will be in Indigo on Wednesday night. I was one of them as well. I'm like, whoa, there's something else. So I've done all of that, but I realized by second year is that all of that was draining so much of my energy and time. Is that I'll party late at night, then I'll miss my 9 a.m. lecture, and then I'll not be present in my class. And a lot of times I was not able to receive what the professors or what my own colleagues had to offer to me. And a lot of us, especially our generation, struggle with vitamin N, because all of us living in the world of social media, everybody loves to be wanted. Everybody loves to be validated. And somebody who says no comes off as rude short term. And none of us want that. So we all become yes people. And so we say yes to every single thing. And after one point, you say yes to fun. After one point, you say yes to your own destruction, because there will be people around you who will love to overstep your boundaries and overutilize your presence or service or anything. And then there are some people, because the argument I get is, no, but I don't want to sound mean to them. You know, I don't want to come off as rude, right? And after 6 months, these other people are choking themselves, and they're like, no, it's okay. If I can't breathe, so what? You know what? They'll be able to live longer, and then they die, right? So learn how to have vitamin no in your life. One of the biggest things, the moment you enter, the moment you are also very protected. The fact that you are in university right now, the moment you get out, it's an ugly world. It's a beautiful world, but it's also a very ugly world. And people love to manipulate you. People love to utilize you. And please pardon me if I'm sounding very cynical. I'm just trying to share my experiences here. So you need to learn how to say no. No to negative people, no to negative experiences, no to negative beliefs or ideas about yourself. Because let's say, for example, if I were to pick you, ma'am, what's your name? Archie, right? If I say, and I'll ask you a question, so pay attention to this. Can you just stand up once? Thank you. I think the black jacket and shorts you're wearing looks hideous. It's not fitting you well, and it's absolutely annoying. Okay? Who all think that's mean? Or that's rude to say? All right. Who all think it's irrelevant? All right. So, thank you so much. By the way, lovely fit. Please sit down. Yeah. Two things happen. A, what I speak. Second, what you speak to yourself once I'm done talking, right? And we have this thing, again, not going to get into the science of it. We have something called RAS, Reticular Activation System, in our brain. Our brain gets 2 million bits of information per minute, but our brain's capacity is 120. So what will it do? It'll filter out a lot of things, right? So no becomes very important, because if you keep accommodating everything, then your nervous system will get fried. You will forget how to say no, and after one point, you become the nice guy who ends up nowhere, right? So there's a difference between being nice and being kind. Be a kind person. Don't be a nice person. A nice person gets taken advantage of all the time, right? The way nice and kind is different is, have you ever had pets or know somebody who has a pet? And what do we do when the pet gets very old and sick and is in pain? Do we keep giving them medication or do we put it down? You put it down, right? Is that a nice thing to do? No, but it's a kind thing to do. Same goes in saying no. It's not about, it's not, when I say no to you, it's not something against you, it is for me. And the moment you are in the university right now, even in terms of the events, right? You will get offered 10 different events. You need to know where do you sync well, where your energy belongs and where it does not. Do not just randomly say yes to people and experiences and then be overshared and then complain about it. It's like, oh, I don't have time for it. I'm like, you chose this, right? So vitamin N is something that a lot of us need. This same guy, remember the guy I spoke about, कि मैं तो खुश रहता हूँ, very wise guy. He was a 77-year-old German guy. And Nainital right now is at 0 and 1. On New Year's, we had snowfall there. And this 77-year-old German guy every morning wakes up and takes a cold shower in the morning. And we went for a trek together. So it was a bunch of 40-50 people. And it was 5-6 of us. It was me, this other lady, and these 4 guys, and the German guy who reached first. This German guy is going back down and helping other people come up. That's the sort of man he was. I was like, this guy has a lot of wisdom. So I was talking about this whole narrative he said, and he spoke to me about a story. He told me about the Buddha story. So there was one time Buddha was meditating with his disciples in the jungle, and there was this egotistical, pompous young king who walked by, and he saw Buddha meditating and being in peace and happy. So he got very annoyed, and he started disturbing Buddha, but Buddha was undisturbed because he was in deep meditation. So he started hurling abuses at Buddha, and he started throwing things at Buddha. And so all the disciples got very angry, but then Buddha gave an instruction that do not respond. And when finally the king and his guards gave up, and they left. So these disciples, very angry and disappointed, they said, Ki, Buddha, why didn't you respond? And Buddha said that in life, everybody you meet carries a bunch of gifts with them. Some are good gifts, some are bad gifts. And everybody tries to offer their gift to you. But it's up to you whether you want to receive a gift or not. If I were to walk up to your house and be like, ye packet of gift tumhare liye, you have a decision to say no, right? But if you're like, oh, thank you so much, let me keep it. That's your choice. So you need to learn which gifts to take, which gifts to just leave it at the door and shut your door. So vitamin N is one of the most important things that you have to learn. Today, I had another invite as well from a different university and a different workshop. And they were also paying me much better. And so I thought that, from a business point of view, that talk makes more sense and it'll good with the portfolio and all that. But I was like, no, yaar, Christ ne bulaya. And I got to know that apparently this is the first time that DAKSH speaker is getting invited, and then I was told that, oh, we're going to be creating history and all of that. And so at some point I was like, yeah, it'll be good to come back to talk to my people and all of that. So I said no, and that caused a lot of conflict that I have to handle on the email right now that I was sitting and texting. But no regrets, because I was like, this is what I chose. So the money or the opportunity that I might miss there, it's not my gift anyway. Because this gift is way more fulfilling. Because after that, I'm going to go back and be like, oh, today I spoke at Christ. And it's going to be fun, right? So learn which gifts to take and which gifts to leave. That's the second point. Next slide, please. Yep. Of course, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but this is for the people who are in relationships, people who are dating right now. Because college mein, that's what half of the people do. In this phase, and the reason I chose this topic particularly, because A, it's very relatable. Half of my Instagram DMs are filled with people your age who are talking about relationship issues. So the idea of a romantic relationship that we have right now, it's very flawed. It's less of a relationship and more of dependency. Oh, you complete me and I complete you, yeah. That is not how a relationship works, okay? That's dependency. Because you're in a stage of your life wherein you are, oh, you know what, I'd love to. Can you bring that whiteboard here? I would love to show a show a diagram. How many of you have been people, I've seen people that, oh, the world is telling you that, oh, red flag, but you were like, no, mera wala to alag hai. Or meri wali to alag hai. Have you ever seen or been people like that? No, she's different, he's different. And 6 months later, it's like, yeah, you were right. So, of course, because even in my college phase, I mean, I've had my stints at dating and all of that. So I've also learned a lot of things, and I think particularly, primarily, Can you give me the cordless mic? I would want to go there. I'll tell you the typical depiction of the relationship that most of you, 80% of people in the room will be. Hello, yeah. So, this is a seesaw, pardon my drawing. Okay? So at this point, I'm only gonna consider like cis-het monogamous relationships. Okay? So do not get to me with political correctness. So we have, let's say, Raghav here. Cool. Nice biceps and all. Cool. And we have Raghav's lovely young lady. Cool. So what usually happens in the relationship, most of them, and this is from 17 to 28, 29, this is the most common pattern, right? So two things will happen. They suddenly fell in love, started dating each other. Now, how does a seesaw work? So sometimes he'll go down, she goes up, and so on. So this has to keep moving, right? Now what will happen is that Raghav really loves his partner. Really, really, right? So like, oh, all my life is about you. And he switches and he comes here. Like, oh, baby, I will support you all my life. And you are the one. What happens when he comes here and he's not here? What will happen to this seesaw? It drops. And after a point, initially it'll be all lovey-dovey and nice and full Instagram stories and tagging each other. And after a point, he's like, Raghav, can I get some space? Right? I need some space in my life. Similarly, it could be the other way around as well, that this lady goes here, comes to Raghav, and now Raghav's like, I need to go to the lecture right now. Like, stop annoying me. Right? Then comes the third. Gen Z people will relate, Instagram people. I use the word nibba nibbi, the term, right? So I'll give you the nibba nibbi example. So Raghav really loves his partner. She also loves him. So what they'll do is they'll be like, oh, you complete me. Let's come here. Cool. And they come right here. And they're living together in their Instagram bubble. What happens to the seesaw? It's not functional anymore. Right? Center of mass padha tha na humne bachpan mein. So this whole seesaw will cease to exist. So technically you're in a seesaw, but you're not living like you're not living up to the functionality of it. And 2 years later, this is just before graduation, you break up and be like, oh, she broke my heart, and I should have studied and focused in college and not bunked my class to go give her a Cadbury Dairy Milk outside her class and do setting with the CR and then give me attendance and all that, right? So the term relationship is something that I've experienced, especially in this age, that it's a very flawed concept. And a lot of it has to do with our idea of self-love. For example, this is something that I'm quoting from a stand-up, which, by the way, all of you should watch. There's this guy called Daniel Sloss. He has a stand-up called Jigsaw. And he gave this analogy that if you love yourself a 20%, somebody who loves you a 40 or 50%, you'll be like, oh, that is so much. It's literally less than half. So a lot of us, at this point of time, all of you are out of your cities and your hometowns and all, and most of you are lonely. I was very homesick when I joined college. You're so afraid of being alone that you're so desperate to just date somebody and have a partner, have a support system, that you just pick up the wrong person and try to add them to your life. And then 3 months or 2-3 years later, you're like, oh, this was the wrong person, right? So be very aware of when are you ready to date and what sort of a person are you ready to date. I had this friend, I met her, I think, 10, 12 days back, and she's in the whole marriage age. I'm like, oh, I want to get married and all that. And we were having a conversation about her dating life, and I asked her, you know what, babe, tell me, what sort of a guy do you want, right? And he gave me a list of 14 to 15 parameters. This. And so then I started asking myself, oh, are you this? Are you this? Are you this? Are you this? And she's like, no. So I'm like, चाहिए क्यों तुमको? खुद आपको रहना है चावल दाल में, या फिर you stay in the vanilla stuff, but you want whatever the fancy ice cream is. मेरे को नहीं पता ice cream ज़्यादा. But you have to become a person who, again, high energy people. You stay at low energy people, you're gonna attract all these desperate, creepy, lonely people who is it getting too relatable for some of you? But yeah, and the concept that I've come up with myself, and yes, I can be completely wrong, but this has started making so much sense because I'm also a content creator, and I collaborate with a lot of these other creators, right? And I see that the moment I've started seeing relationships as business, oh, it is making so much sense to me. So I've stopped using the term relationship. I say that the next person that I'm gonna date, I'm gonna collaborate with them. And the whole collaboration idea is that So then the relationship doesn't have one person or two people or this whole helium unit. We have one person. So now let's say Raghav realized that he deserves better and he can do better, right? So he creates a world for himself, right? So he's working on his career, he's working on his physical health, mental health, emotional, all of that, right? He becomes a very strong, powerful, in a healthy way, a very alpha man, in a very healthy way, not the toxic alpha guy. So he becomes that and he's creating his own journey, right? Then comes this other, his sweet, innocent, improvised version of that lady. No, she doesn't have bicep. Sorry. Right? Or she can, who am I? And she's in her own journey, right? And she's figuring out her life. And she's, let's say, going in a certain direction. And let's say their energy really matches and they're like, you know what, let's collaborate. Let's figure out our life together. And so they co-create this entire journey together and they create something else, which is beautiful, which is healthy. Now there are 3 units there. Unit Raghav, Unit Raghav's girlfriend, and Unit 3. So in a healthy relation, there are 3 things that keep operating, right? A, my journey. B, the other person's journey. And C, a collective journey. What's the vision? Like sometimes, I remember, I think last year, I was on a date, and I asked this lady, so what's your vision in your relationship? And she's like, what? Like, vision to goals mein hota hai na, career mein hota hai. So most of us are so unaware of this whole vision and concept and all that, that we take it forward and we just mindlessly scroll through people or swipe through people or reject people or attract people and all that. So be very particular, do you want like a dependent relationship or do you actually want to collaborate with somebody who actually helps you propel in your journey and also takes care of their journey as well. There is nothing more annoying than people making your life their life as well and trying to live their dream through you, right? And be like, oh my God, I invested so much in you, why are you not doing this? I'm like, boss, it's my journey, let me do it, right? So this point, something, especially when I was coming to Christ, I thought, ye point to I will use, right? Because a lot of us need it. Can we have the next slide? Cool. Now this is something I learned the hard way. I'll give you the context. How many of you have experienced this? How many of second year people, no? You master people are the pro at this, but who all have gotten their trust broken in the past 6 months? Last 1 year? Last 2 years? ये UG वाले कितने sorted इनको, they've not seen the world right now, but yeah, please mentor them a little bit. You need to learn how to get your trust broken ASAP, because the world will. When we act or pretend to be nice people, we expect people to be the same as well. It's like, oh, you know, how could they do this to me? They will, and they will do it again. So learning how your trust is broken, accepting the reality. I'm not saying that you should go out and look for people who break your trust, no. But to have the acceptance of the fact that you can do the best things in your capability from the best of intention, but there are good people and there are bad people in the world. There are enough good people, because if there were not good people, then the world will collapse. But the world is still going on. It's a beautiful world, which means there are a lot of good people on this world. So good people respond to you in a good way, and some bad people, let's say not bad people, but let's say bad circumstances and bad contexts and bad decisions, I would say, are the ones who will try to step over you. And so it becomes very important for you to accept the fact that out of the 10 times that I try something, at least I'll fail 3 to 4 times. Again, spread across career. I've had 6 failed businesses. 2 years ago, I got into financial debt of lakhs. I had to move back home. A lot of stuff happened. I almost thought, okay, I'm going to quit the whole coaching thing and all. Let me do an MBA and get a job and pay off my debt and all of that. Why? Because my business partner, who I used to call my work wife, because we were working together for 2-3 years, she decided to date our lawyer and take away all the clients and money. And I was like, how could you do this? And then she goes like, this is how business works. And so pehle I was like, no, you know, people shouldn't be doing this. But now that I've been doing multiple businesses, now I realize this is how people work. And so you need, the sooner you learn how to attach and detach from building your trust, the better it'll be for you. So the thing that has helped me a lot is evidence. I'll have at least 10 people who can be like, oh, I want to do this and all of that. I'm like, show me evidence. And this is true across all the personal and professional relationships I have. For example, if one of my old friends reaches out and be like, oh, I've done this so much for you, and why didn't you do this? I'm like, show me evidence. When was the last time you called or checked up on me, right? The moment you start operating from evidence, it gives you clarity. It gives other people clarity as well. So, and that will help you accept this fact, because this will happen a lot. But true resilience is not failing. It's about going 4 steps forward, falling 2 behind, then next time going 5 further and all of that. If you get into the whole perfectionist state that I don't want to fall down, I don't want to get my trust broken, you're going to end up not taking risks in life. And you're going to end up being in your own bubble, and nothing grows in the bubble. Yes, you get protected by things, but nothing goes out as well. And then 5 years later, you'll be like, oh, I should have done something better, right? So the sooner you learn to accept this, the better it will be for you, especially in this age, spread across all the aspects of your life. Can we have the next slide, which is the final slide? Find your why. So I love giving a reference for it. So I think the anchor had given a context. 2021, I walked across India. So I walked from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. It was a 4,000 kilometer walk, and it took me 156 days to walk. And I never did that before. The max I had done was like 40, 50 kilometer Josh runs back in the army. But that was like with the whole team, and then it was a one-time event. But when I was walking, so overall my average was around 50 to 60 kilometers per day. And I'll walk for around 10 to 12 hours, sometimes 15 hours. And so when I started with Tamil Nadu, I started with Kanyakumari, and till Tamil Nadu, my average was around 27 to 30 kilometers per day, because I was not used to walking so much. And then gradually the mileage increased. But there were so many points, especially the dry points, like Rajasthan was very dry, Andhra Pradesh was very dry, Madhya Pradesh was cold and dry. A lot of these stretches were in, so the first 20 to 25 kilometers was all physical conditioning. So because I was fit in general, plus I was in the army, I'm like, 20-25 to chali lenge. So 20-25 is when I got exhausted physically. Then came the mind. From 25 to 35 or 40 is the one wherein I start negotiating with myself. Like, maybe I should take some break, or maybe I should eat something and then continue this later and all of that. But it was a constant negotiation in my head, because my mind will keep telling me that, boss, take some rest, it's okay, you can extend by a day and all of that. But I was like, no, somehow I have to figure out. So that was a struggle between 25 to 35. The moment I went beyond 40 kilometers, by the time it's 40 kilometers beyond, I've been walking for around 10, 12 hours. So because I'm standing straight and walking, so this will go numb, because all the blood has gone down and all the blood on my feet have gone down, right? So after a point, I'm just walking mindlessly. Like, I'm not even sensing my body, I'm just walking. And random things I'll do, like I'll zone out in the middle of the road. I am crying, I am laughing, I am talking to these scarecrows. Sometimes like, hey, what did I do? I shouldn't have done this and all that. But the moment I crossed 40, this stopped working. And what I realized was this sort of opened up. So the moment I crossed 45 kilometers, when everything was hurting, but then after a point it stopped hurting, I went into more fundamental questions about myself. It's like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to complete it? Why does it mean so much to me? Where do I belong? What am I doing? And the moment I started asking myself these questions is when I got more energy. And I remember my highest stretches have been 75 and 85. And these are the times wherein mindlessly I'm just walking. And that day I realized that in a lot of energy-wise, the way we operate, a lot of us operate from our body, which is comfort, right? Or morning class, or this and that, and all of that. And we do not want to push ourselves, right? We push ourselves a little bit, but not enough. We only stay at the body level. Okay, I'm not feeling very good, or I'm feeling very good about it, and that's the end of the story. Some of us, they realize, okay, I need to actualize a little more, and they start working on their mind. So, they start doing a lot of exercises, start going to therapy or coaching, or do their own exercises, worksheets, and just progress in general, consume podcasts, go to events, workshops, and all of that. But there's a point after the mind that hits stagnation. So a lot of people reach that point and be like, okay, what next? What we miss is stretching ourselves beyond the capability that we think that we exist. There was this research I recently studied about. It was viral in Instagram as well. That these scientists took a bunch of rats and threw them in a swimming pool. And they were recording how much time it takes before they drown. So when they threw the rats first, they started drowning in 15 minutes. So 15 minutes, they pulled out everyone and then gave it some rest and all of that. And next day, the goal was they're going to test again. let me throw these again and let's see how much do they survive. And they were expecting ki, oh, because they're exhausted and all of that, they'll succumb before 15 minutes. And they start recording the data. I went 15 minutes, and then 1 hour, and then 2 hours, and then 10 hours, and then 20 hours, and then 28 hours. And these rats keep pedaling on the water for 28 hours. And the scientists were baffled. And then the conclusion of the whole experiment was, because they knew that they'll be saved, these rats, they knew that somebody's going to pick them up, they stopped thinking. They stopped thinking, ki, oh, I can't do this, cannot, there is no option now, let me just test what I have. And they kept on going. And so a lot of us at this point are not pushed to our levels. We have this whole thing in the army that we call it the drain session and ragra session. So it's 24 hours of constant ragra. So you went from one drain, then go to the rope, then go to the heat session, then the puke session, hockey session, all that session. And by the end of it, you're just mindless. You have no idea what you're doing. Any boxer here? Boxer? One boxer. So in boxing, we have this thing that says that when you train a boxer, train them so hard that after one point, they stop hearing everything outside. So they only respond to what you say. They only respond to themselves. So I would invite all of you to do something, pick up any hobby or any sport or even academia for that matter, and really push yourself to the extreme and allow yourself to get an opportunity to see how much can I open up. You will be amazed to see the kind of things that open up for you. You'll be like, oh, ye bhi kar sakta tha main. And because that's where growth will happen. You keep doing everything what the other people are doing, you're going to end up in the same place where people are. And then one of the worst things or feelings as a human being is to know that I belong here, but then to see yourself operating here. And that creates a lot of dissociation from your own self. So in terms of pointers, these 5 pointers I had for you, I'm just going to repeat. We had, you don't need to switch the slides right now. Our first one was learning how to talk to yourself and to others. Second was vitamin N, saying no. Third was relationship versus collaboration. Thank you, Raghav, for being the guinea pig. Fourth was get your trust broken ASAP. And fifth is find your why. Test, go beyond your body and your mind, try to tap into your heart, and you're going to figure out a lot of answers. And coming to the next slide, can you bring it? Oh, this is again from the reference. This was during the walk. That's how my feet look like. I call it artistry. People call it gross. But these are glimpses from the walk. Can we have the next slide? Cool. Coming back to what this means, okay? So in the army, who all know, so have you seen people march? The whole thing, people march, right? Left, right, left, right, right. So when we are marching, we have a instruction. So let's say I'm marching. So this, we don't walk like this when we are marching. So it's called digging. So we do this, we dig, right? And we go left, right, left. And so this is called digging. And so let's say when people are digging, for example, if I'm digging, I'm going left, right, left. So the drill saab will say, दाएं मोड़, बाएं मोड़, पीछे मोड़, which is to switch directions. So the moment we get an instruction, दाएं मोड़, बाएं मोड़, पीछे मोड़, so there's this whole maneuver that happens, which is called cut khali 1 2 3 4. So let's say I'm marching this side, and my drill saab says, दाएं मोड़, दाएं is right. So turn right. So if I'm marching, I'm going like this. I'll go cut khali, 1 2 3 4, and I advance. So this is how we switch directions when we are marching. It's called cut khali 1 2 3 4. And this is the metaphor that I've learned that has been true for all my life. I have gone through multiple business failures, multiple relationship failures and all of that. But every time I got stuck somewhere, cut khali 1 2 3 4 has helped me a lot. There's this song that I would love for you to listen. It's called 7 Day Miles. And there was a metaphor in that. Sorry. This is the world, okay? This is you. I'll pick Raghav again. This is Raghav, okay? Now, you started somewhere from here, all right? And there were a lot of troubles and turbulences that you overcame, walls that we have. You know, so Raghav jumped off a lot of walls and broke through a lot of walls, right? And that's how Raghav has become mature, and he has the strength that he possesses, right? But sometimes in life, you are faced with a very large wall. And so Raghav's really trying to push through, break through, skirt his way around all of that, right? But it's not happening. And a lot of us have or will reach a point in their life wherein they are faced with this wall. That whatever they've learned is not making sense anymore. So what to do next? So the whole principle of cut khali 1 2 3 4 that I've learned for me is we all think, and the goal is to reach this side. This is the final target, right? And we all keep trying to push through because we can see the breakthrough. It's so near, but we're trying to push it, but we're not able to get through. And the lyricist of this song, he says, there's another way to reach here, is you turn back and you walk the entire globe and reach here. And so sometimes in life, it's not breaking through that you need, it's pivot that you need. So cut khali 1, 2, 3, 4 is pivot. You get somewhere, you identify, is this fight worth fighting for? If it's yes, fight it. Then assess, should I be fighting against or should I be pivoting and moving? Learning how to pivot is very important because then you have to drop your ego. We keep pushing and banging our heads on the same wall because it's a lot of ego attached. The moment you drop your ego, you will learn how to pivot. People who pivot the most are the ones who actually reach further in life versus people are stuck in this one thing. You know, if I have just one job, or if I could crack this one person, or if I could approach this guy or that guy, that is my life. So for all of you who are stuck somewhere or will be stuck in life, cut khali 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the theme of my talk. And to conclude, what I would want you to carry at the end is, I'm just another ex-Christite, work in progress. I have a lot of green flags and I have a lot of red flags as well. Can we have the next slide? Just to give a glimpse of the few things that have not been working for me or have worked in the past. I've had the dream crashing, which was the whole army incident. Then I had 6 failed businesses and a lot of financial debt. I went through depression and PTSD. Last October, my Wagonar toppled 3 times. There's a whole post on that. I walked 4,000. And so this, while sounds very glorious, had also a lot of implications on my physical health and on my mental health as well. Like when I was in Rajasthan, my butt used to bleed every single day because of the heat and all the dry and all. So a lot of things have happened in the past that I cannot talk about it here. But a lot of struggles have happened here. And this one is the latest. There was a woman that I loved, but I lost her to a road accident. That's a grieving process still happening. So a lot of things are happening here right now. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is the next slide. This is also happening. So I have 2 successful businesses right now. I'm trying to love again. I'm lining up a few dream projects. I'm growing my social media, which is doing really well. I have 14 tattoos on my body that represent my story. I'm finding what home is for me because I've been traveling everywhere. I'm figuring out where home is. I'm figuring that out. I'm dreaming again. I have a lot of things planned up for myself and my family. And this is all to be continued. So while a lot of things are happening in your life, next slide, a lot of things are happening in your life, a lot of good things are also happening as well. So really learn how to practice gratitude and allow yourself to at least receive the things you already have because, you know, they say shit happens and it'll keep happening. And just make sure that the thing around that is very beautiful. Build your garden around all these droppings that you're having here and there. And thank you so much for listening to me and paying attention to me and being kind to me. I'm open to any questions that you might have. Any questions? Yes, one by one, I think you take it. Can you take this? Good morning.
Yeah, hello again. They mentioned that you are an author.
Yeah.
So could you tell me more about your book? Like, what's it about?
Did you frame this question? Did they ask you to frame this question?
No, I framed this question because I'm also an author and I've
lovely.
also written my book. So I wanted to
Can
know.
you share the name of the book with the audience?
Okay, it's Crazy Diaries. I published it really young when I was 11.
That's lovely. Please check out her book. My book's name is called The Mighty Mustang. Half of it is my army story and half of it was a failed love story through poetry. That was something I published in 2018. And the second one I'm working right now, but this is like... Hello. This is like a long one, but this is morely on self-help and coaching and all of that. So yeah, I think the book came out as more of an emotional release because I used to play a lot of sports, but then after my army incident, I did not have any emotional release. So have you been to Christ Central Campus, the main campus? So they have a basketball court near Nandini. So my first semester was basically sitting there and crying and then scribbling something. That's how I discovered journaling. So one fine day, I ended up writing a poem which was not a poem back then. It was some journal, which I named the Mighty Mustang. So the whole Mustang is one of the wildest, strongest breed of horses. And so how in school you have houses, so in the army we have squadrons. We have Alpha, Bravo, Delta, Charlie, Echo, Foxtrot, and so on. So I was in Mike's squadron. Now every squadron has a soul. Alpha, Apache, Bravo, Brave, Charlie, Cheetah, Delta, Daggers, Foxtrot, Foxes, and so on. So Mike's soul is a Mustang horse. So when you enter the academy, you have another set of psychological interviews wherein they try to assess your personality type. So they thought I was a wild horse, so they gave me Mustang. So when this poem came out, and it was about my experiences back in the army, I just named it the Mighty Mustang because it was about the army. And then I started performing in and around Bangalore. So Bangalore has a beautiful poetry circle, which all of you should check out. And so I used to introduce myself as the Mighty Mustang. And then eventually, because all of my initial pieces were sad, so in Bangalore poetry circles, they started identifying me as that ex-Fauji Mustang guy who makes people cry. And so that's how the branding sort of picked up. And then that's how I branded my Instagram as well. And the book came out, and then now it's everywhere. So that's how the whole Mustang thing came in, and that's how the book came in. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would suggest all of you to please check out her book. That's the least you can do for a fellow Christite. Support each other. That's very important. Any other question? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, sir. So you said something about learning how to sell yourself, and
That is not what I meant literally.
no. Okay, yes. But honestly, I have always looked up to my father, and he has always been that kind of guy who really has the business sense, you know. And honestly, no matter how hard I try, I just can't be like that. Like,
Go again.
Like, no matter how hard I try, I cannot be like that, like having, learning how to sell yourself and having that business sense.
Yeah.
I can't be like my father, and it kind of irks me. So, like, how do you?
Cool. My question to you, do you think you can be like your father?
No, obviously I'm my own person, but I
Then
think
why you're trying to be like your father?
I just really look up to him and his qualities.
That is lovely. I look up to Dhoni. Does that mean I'm going to be Dhoni, or should I try to be Dhoni?
No.
We have to, thank you for the question though, very important. We have to start dissociating identities and roles that people play in our life, right? In your case, let's say your dad, it's his first time living, it's his first time being a dad as well. So he's also figuring it out. And he's also a business owner and all that, right? Now you are your own individual. You need to carve your own journey. Yes, you can pull in principles that you feel is healthy for you, or something that you can model from the dad. But the moment you try to be somebody else, you lose your own identity. So the words that you use, very strong words, I can't. You use I can't like twice or thrice. We were talking about the first principle, that the way that your nervous system responds, these are very minute things, but they have a lot of effect on you. The moment you say things like, yeah, I can't do this, you'll probably not be able to, right? Try to rephrase. Try to say that I'm probably on my own journey, I'm figuring it out, right? Instead of saying I can't do this, right? If somebody asks me to dance right now, my first response is, I can't dance for my life, right? The last time I danced on my friend's wedding, they laughed. So, but I'm like, oh, you know, I keep saying that I'm a lovely dancer and musician. It's just not socially acceptable because they're not evolved enough to understand my art, right? So again, it's just a way of saying you can use humor as well. But coming back to a primary question, stop trying to emulate things. And our biggest role models for people growing up, especially in this age, our parents are our biggest role models. These are for people who have parents. And we try to emulate a lot. And a lot of it comes from validation, which is a fair human need. But we have to understand where's the line wherein I'm leaving my department and trying to go and settle other people's needs and expectation. So you need to learn how to pitch yourself in the way that you feel comfortable. You can pull in the principles that your dad or any other person around you that you call a role model can, but stop copying the same thing. Because for him, it has worked in a certain context and time frame and the kind of environment. It's very different for different people. So find your own path and stop. And the moment you become somebody really good and all of that, you will automatically get all that attention or validation in a good way that you would want. And so just accepting of the fact that you're on your own journey, you're not going to be perfect, you're going to be very flawed, but that's who you are. Everybody comes with the package. So find your own wrapping and then learn how to quote unquote sell yourself. Okay? Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. So also, like, keeping that aside, like in general, how do you talk like that? Like, how do you sell yourself?
100 rupee 1, 100 rupee 2, 100 rupee 3 sold. Again, let's not take sell in a literal way. So first step, what I said, like building an elevator pitch, the moment you walk in. And so let's do some self-praising here. So I was there and I met Dr. Joby, your dean, right? And I walked up to him and I'm like, hello sir, how are you doing? All right. And 10 minutes in the conversation, he was comparing with me Sachin Pilot and this other guy who came to Christ once. He's like, you know, the way he walked, he did that. First impressions are really important, right? Now let's say Adya came to pick me up this morning and I'm currently put up in Whitefield and she was there by 8:45 dot. I've also had people from Christ only who reached 40 minutes late to pick me up and I was late as well. So initial things matter, your punctuality, your basic core things, the way you show up, the way... I had a fight with this dhobi next to the building, my friend's building, because he was like, sir, iron nahi ho payega. And I'm like, nahi, meko to ekdam crisp chahiye iron, like not 1 inch here and there, is like nahi ho, and then I had a whole fight with him. Because for me, it was very important for me to represent myself, because A, I'm an ex-Christite, and B, I'm representing to certain people, and I might make sense to a few of them, right? So the way you show up for yourself becomes very important. Second, the way you talk about yourself. When we think about selling ourselves, you don't have to sit and make a portfolio about yourself. The way you talk about yourself really matters. For example, if somebody says, do you like art? Do you like dancing? You're like, I mean, I'm okay at dancing and all that. Just own your thing. I love dancing. I'm still work in progress, but I'm figuring it out. There's a difference in the way that it comes out, right? And people sense energies. So it's very important the way you talk about yourself, the way you stand. I mean, if I'm going to get too into the details of the army and all, the way you stand. You know, we all always say chest up, shoulder back. When you're talking to somebody, when you're holding hand, hold it like you mean it, or you just close your fist like this. Never give a half-ass handshake, or never, I don't know, give a side hug. You know, I do a 3-hour workshop on how to give hugs. This is one of my most famous workshops, right? And I talk about all the 100 ways in which we do the bad hug. You either hug me well, and I feel good about it, or you do not, and I join my hands, right? So small things. The way you show up for yourself, you will find the kind of people who would want to, quote unquote, buy your story or buy you. When I say in business, there's a product, your product is not meant for everyone. Your product is meant for your target audience. The way you show up as that product, target audience will also show up. So that's how you start. Baki bahut lamba ho jayega if I keep continuing on that.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much. Yeah. Any other question? I will take, how much time do we have? It's 12:07. I'll take 1 or 2 more questions. Okay.
I am Darpana. I'm from 2 MPCLA. I don't know if you
I
remember
know you.
me.
I
Yes,
know
we've
you.
met twice.
Yeah.
So since I've been following you for a while, I wanted to ask about men's mental health since you have been working on it. The way you described Raghav, I'm a man and he had to push harder. So what do you think is men's mental health, and what are the challenges that male face in this generation right now?
So to answer right now, what I'm going to do is lock that door and book out the next 6 hours for you. But thanks for asking that question. It's something that I have learned. So I grew up in Ranchi. Ranchi is a small town. Patriarchy is all I had seen. So for me, my dad was the head of the family, and then, you know, is the men who make the decisions of the family, and men rule the world and all that. That's how I had grown up. So even though I was doing very well in life, I was a very high achiever, OG enthu cutlet guy. But I realized this is when sociology came into my life. I was talking to Dr. Joby about this. When I read about feminist literature, I read about gender roles and all that. I realized, oh, I'm such a overperforming guy, but I'm such a S guy. Like I'm so bad at it, right? I'm just gonna use one word. It's not a terrible word, but I call myself. It's called PPS. It's called a patriarchal piece of shit. And I realized that I was that. And it took a lot of embarrassment because I realized, oh, I've been doing a lot of things, but I'm doing it wrong. No wonder all the female relationships, be it my mom, be it my sister, is not that healthy because I have this whole ego of being a man. And then social media sells it, you know, be the alpha guy, learn how to pick up women and all of that, right? And it sells. And so I think in the past 5 years that had grown a lot, which is luckily changing now. So the journey for myself was when I had my mental health journey, and when I was going through therapy and coaching, I learned these things about myself. Okay, this is another aspect that I really need to work on. So the first thing was to just unlearn a lot of things. I had this rule in Christ with all my female friends and companions that the moment I say anything racist or sexist, call me out then and there. I do not care what the context is. You can call me out in the middle of the stage. And so a lot of healthy female interactions I had in my life really helped me and really challenged me, really supported me, really nurtured me, gave me a different perspective. And I'll take that perspective and I'll run it through the guys as well. and I'll face a lot of resistance, but a lot of people will also agree. So I tried using both to get a both healthy, balanced perspective. But then my job was to learn on my mental health first, to accept the fact. Because for me, I mean, I was an ex-Indian Army guy. I mean, mental health क्या होता है? कुछ नहीं होता. Depression क्या होता है? सुबह 4 बजे उठ जाओ, ठीक हो जाएगा. And that's how I used to feel, right? But then to learn the fact that it's okay, I'm not doing well right now. I need help and support. For that, I have to pull my ego down. I have to stop being man enough, right? So that really helped. And so now I've shifted a lot of my attention to talking about other men as well, because in the whole space of well-being and all, we have a lot of female content creators and psychologists and coaches who keep telling people that it's okay, men, you can cry and all of that. But the moment it comes from a male figure, guys respond differently and in a much better way, because the way guys talk is very different. You know, men are very simple, adorable beings. They're very simple, they're very basic, right? They try to be very complex and all, they're very basic. And if you further get into the whole divine masculine and feminine, you realize that it's the divine feminine who's the powerful one. They allow the masculine to show up and all. That's a very beautiful concept. So the moment I realized that, I was like, kyun hi main tez ban raha hu itna? And so that helped me sort of put my ego down. And I have this, I can't show, but there's a whole tattoo. It says alpha male, but the male is struck off, because that's more of like, the term alpha is a very healthy term in its totality. I love when I see healthy alpha men and alpha women as well. But if you go into the originality, the semantics of it, it comes from the animal kingdom. So the leader of the pack is called alpha, right? And then the beta and then the omegas, right? If you read about the animal kingdom, most of the leaders are female. So if alpha had to have a gender, it should have been female. But the thing is, it was marketed well because they had to sell deodorants and perfumes and all of that, and that's what we picked up. And so understanding that, this is something that I've come across recently only, that men and women are different. Men and men are different. Women and women are different. Men and trans are different. Trans and everybody is different, right? We have to stop pulling everybody in the same category. Extreme political correctness also has a problem. So understanding the whole yin and yang, right? There's a certain role that I can play. There's a certain role that this person can play, that person can play, can really help us be open to receiving help. That personally helped for me in terms of my mental health, and that's something I keep supporting as well. Like today, I will make a reel about men's mental health. I have 10 comment sections and 10 abuses in my DM from men. He's like, oh, you are beta, simp, and all that jazz I keep saying. Tomorrow, I'll make a content about women, and then some women will be like, oh, no something, no opinion, no this, no that, and all of that, I get it, right? So a lot of things that happens, but it's about the integrated effect of all the genders involved, even the ones that I'm not mentioning right now, that we come in together and we talk about men. You know, you pick up a random guy and ask, how are you doing, and stay there, the guy will break down most of the times. Because we're so not used to being asked that question. We get asked a question, how much do you earn, what do you do, and all of that stuff, like do you like hockey and all of that. But nobody sits with a man and asks, boss, how are you doing, and stay there. All of us throw very casually, what's up on WhatsApp, what's up, what's going on, and the guy will be like, no. The guy needs a few nudges because he's not used to, growing up, a guy is not used to being asked questions and being held there. So the moment you stay there for a guy, the guy will respond. A guy is very simple. So that's your first step. Regarding, I mean, you can watch my content because that's a long narrative. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Cool, I'll take a quick question. I'll give a very brief response, then we'll close this. Yes. Yeah.
Even though you've planned everything,
Yeah.
and like you knew what to do after that, you joined Christ, you
Yeah.
went about with everything. How did you deal with that position of your life?
Oh, I didn't plan anything. So the whole army thing was a lesson for me that you can plan everything, but that's not how life works. Even Christ was randomly. I was a PCM student. I was a national level physics awardee. That's how much into PCM and all of that. And then after my career ended in the army, I was like, okay, new life, what do I do? So I'm like, I don't want to do engineering or medical. What do I do? And then I got to know about this triple majors course in Christ, eco, politics, and sociology. I was like, koi ek to pasand aa hi jayega, right? And so it was random, right? And also Christ, because my sister was studying in Bangalore. AIMS is nearby, you know, this Pina AIMS. So my sister was doing her graduation there. So I think I'll be close to my sister. One of my seniors was in Christ. So it was not a planned decision. Because one of the things Christ does really well is your dates for admission and interviews really before, right? Very good strategy. So it was good for me because I really needed some security in my life. So then Christ came in, I got through the interview and came to Christ. I had no idea what I'm going to do. I was telling Adya when we were traveling a bit that I was in everything. I was in SWO, CSA, peer education, every single thing, I'll be there. and I was doing different social work and all of that. But the whole idea for me was, let me throw myself in all the places, and the things that actually mean a lot to me will stick. And by the end of second year, I got into coaching, started with peer education, and then started coaching UG kids, then PG kids, then doctorate people, then professors. Third year, I was doing sessions with professors as well. It was lovely, right? So that coaching stuck with me. So a lot of times you can't have plans. I mean, how would you know what's going to happen? You don't know what's going to happen the moment you leave the hall, right? So planning is good. Short-term planning is good to set like a vision for yourself. But if you overplan, you will underdo things. So a lot of people ask me, oh, how do I plan? Or how do you cope? You do not. There's no template of coping. I can tell you the exact thing that worked for me, but that might not work with you because that worked in my context and my circumstances. But the core principle is that at the end, what am I trying to create? For me, the major breakthrough moment was, I'm a very protective guy. For example, now if I identify a few places, faces on the road, I'll be like, oh, they're my people, and I get very protective. That's who I am. And that was one of the reasons I joined the army, because I want to protect my country. When my career ended, and then I was figuring out when coaching came up to me, and then after the book and all came out, I've had a lot of DMs like, oh, I was planning to harm myself, cut myself, I didn't. Or, you know, your coaching helped, or this helped, your video helped. And I realized that, like, my purpose in life was to stand at the border and protect lives. But I realized I could still do that from inside the border. So at the end, the purpose is still being fulfilled. Like, the mode is different, right? So at the end, if you know currently, like, who you are and what you represent, the first one, your elevator pitch, you'll figure your way out. You just, you know, create some wiggle space, go expand, wiggle space, expand, just keep moving forward, and rest is cut khali ek do teen char. There's no template that works, you figure it out. Today you'll figure it out, you'll be confused. Tomorrow if you crack it, then other people will ask you, oh, how did you do it? And then you'll tell the same thing, it was all by chance. So everything I'm doing right now, yes, I put a lot of intention, but a lot of luck has happened, a lot of random things have popped in, and that it's just that when luck or opportunity arrives at your door, you have to be prepared for it. So just make sure you're doing your homework in general. Okay. Thank you so much for the questions. If you have any other further questions, you can probably pass it on to the volunteers, which I can probably send a message or something if you want to know. Otherwise, it's been a privilege talking to you. Thank you so much for giving me your time, headspace, energy, and I mean, everything you gave in here. Thank you for not using your phones. I saw some of you use it, but it's fine. It's fine. But most of you paid attention. That means a lot. If there's one thing you should take away from this talk, is that whoever comes on this stage is a constant work in progress, who is here to show you the highlights so that you can get inspired or you can take it. But behind this highlight is also a lot of gray matter and a lot of dark stuff as well. So start seeing people in their totality. Do not glamorize people, do not undermine people, treat them as people, because the moment you treat others as people, you're gonna start treating yourself as people, and that's where you make your own identity. Thank you so much, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, I would like to kindly request you to be on stage for a few more seconds. As a token of our gratitude and admiration, we would like to present Mr. Ronit Ranjan with a memento, a symbol of our appreciation for the invaluable contribution he has made to this event. I would like to invite Dr. Anu KM, the Student Council Coordinator, to kindly come on the stage and present the memento to Mr. Ranjan. Now for the vote of thanks, we extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Father Benny Thomas, our esteemed director, Dr. Father Biju Casey, associate director, Father Vinod Michael, campus administrator, our Dean Joby Thomas, all in absentia, and Dr. Raghunandan G, associate dean, and our outstanding management team. We are deeply grateful to all those who have contributed to the smooth running of this event, from our committed instructors and effective staff to energetic volunteers and the discipline committee. Your collective efforts have elevated this event, shaping a memorable experience for our academic community. A big thanks to all the wonderful audience for their enthusiastic participation. May you all return home with new insights and a renewed sense of perspective that will help you get a better grasp of your unique journeys. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful day full of inspiration and learning in the future. And if anything goes wrong, as Ronit Ranjan said, kat thali 1 2 3 4. Thank you.